Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time to join us today. This is the June edition of the eSUB Live Product Tour. The idea is we're going to spend about 30 minutes with you, show you a little bit about our software, talk about some high-level features, our mobile app, our web-based platform, and then open it up for Q&A. If you have any questions, always like to answer those questions for you and provide you with a little guidance. So for those of you that I have not met, my name is Rob McKinney, and I'm the Director of Business Development here at eSUB. Also a construction technology podcast host, done a lot of different things. If you're ever curious about my work, check me out on ConApp Guru, and you can learn more there. Joining me today is my tag team partner, Ryan Gormanley. He is one of our account executives based up in the Northeast and has a really interesting sports following there when I'm looking at that. Now, one thing, Ryan, you and I have never really talked. 11 countries, just for people, just out of curiosity. What are the countries that you have been to?
So I've been, the ones that are close, we got Mexico, Aruba, and Dominican Republic. Then over in Europe, there's Ireland, Spain, Netherlands, Greece, Czech Republic, Poland.
Wow.
I think I'm forgetting a couple, but yeah.
A world traveler. You got me beat. I've only got a few countries. Now, maybe I might have you further. I went to the Solomon Islands when I served in the Peace Corps, which was almost in Australia, but you got me on the quantity. I hear you, man. Well, thanks for joining us today to provide your insights. Now, this is what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. There's three major things we always like to talk about with software, and specifically when people think, why should I invest in software? And let's just keep it broad, software, right? We talk and Ryan talks, a lot of our teammates, we're always having conversations with lots of construction companies about the standard. And I'm going to go ahead and just put the standard out there as Excel and Outlook. Ryan, is that kind of some of the standard things that you hear, what teams are using that are not in, quote, dedicated software?
Yeah. Typically, it's kind of just still old school, pen, paper, Excel.
Yeah, we definitely want to spread some good word about optimizing your workflow. So the first thing we say, do you need help with standardizing your processes? Now, I'm going to go right after Excel. When I'm saying standardized the process, if you've got 2, 3, 5, 10 project managers using Excel, different spreadsheets on different computers, not connected, not networked, that could lead to some problems, at least in my prior experience in the construction industry, it did. So when we're talking about standardizing processes, we like for the people to know the way. And whatever your company way is to do a daily report, to do an RFI, to do a change order, there's the company way. And it should be in one central system. That way you can find things anytime, any place, but also analyze the work that you're doing. Now, the second part we talk to companies about is scaling your operations. And when I'm talking about scaling, we're saying, well, do you currently build in one market? Let's say, for example, I live in the East Coast. I'm near Atlanta. Maybe you build in Atlanta. Maybe you build in Chicago. Maybe you build in Denver. But what if you're trying to scale that operation and go into a different market, a different state, a different region where you're going to hire new employees that do not know your way? How can you successfully do that and have technology, have software help really benefit your operation? So that's something else we want to talk about. Then the last part, and this is where we're going to get specifically deep about eSUB, because we truly believe what we've created is the best solution out there for the trade contractors. When we talk about an early warning system, what's an early warning system? Well, when I was poking at Excel earlier, and people they tell us that they manage all their projects in Excel, and they may honestly be really good at it. All due love and respect to our project managers or operating officers. They might be amazing at what they do, but how easy is it for you at the CEO level, the executive level, the management level to look at 5 spreadsheets, 10 spreadsheets, 20 spreadsheets? Managing your company by Excel, that's where I'm going to poke a little bit. And how do you have an early warning system? How do you know, for example, how many outstanding RFIs you have? How many days old are they? How many answers do you not have? How old are your change order requests? Where are you in a bad spot each and every week? And more importantly, how do you know that? Now, I'll be honest, I've sat in a lot of WIP meetings. I've sat in a lot of progress meetings in my career. It's hard when you don't have good data. In a software system, a software platform that's web-based, that's truly what we believe we can do a little bit better. So, little quick history. Our company has 25 years of experience from our early DNA, from our co-founders that were construction claim consultants who had the idea to build our software. We've been around for 25 years trying to protect the trades, guide, advise, and build software that helps them run their operations. Couple things like just to brag real quick. If you're looking around and you've looked at things like the Gartner score or G2, there's different places. We have been ranked fairly high, we think, by different platforms. And this comes directly from our customers. If you're curious, check them out. You can kind of see our rankings in public comments and see what you think for yourself. And just to kind of round this out, we are the only 100% trade contractor platform out there. What does that mean? We're field and project focused at our core. We have a mobile app that's designed to do many things that interacts with the web. Then your document control, how we hold the documents for your team members in the office and the field to interact, we think is designed fairly well, and it helps really kind of connect the dots. Now, the next couple of things we'll talk about that Ryan's going to show some of the parts of: labor productivity. Yes, we help you do time. We can do time tracking 3 different ways. We have what we'll call the FieldWorks app that Ryan's going to walk you through. But then we also have eSUB time, which is for individual crews to clock in and out. And then there's the eSUB kiosk, where you can set up a tablet, for example, and multiple team members can clock in and out on that device. But this labor productivity part really is in what is called the FieldWorks mobile app. So it's not just documenting 8 hours in a day for a crew member. That's paying them what you're supposed to for their paycheck. The productivity comes from importing those budgets from your accounting software and tracking those 8 hours in a day to a phase code. That's where we really can get after that productivity. And then that feeds the profit protection. If you have that budget, if you're tracking back against the budget at all times, when you see dips in your manpower, your workload, if the schedule's kind of slipping, if you see that every week and kind of watch it better than the end of the quarter or a bad time of the year, that's what we really want to kind of talk about at our core. So 5 things Ryan's going to kind of go through with you about our system. And these are 5 ways we truly believe software can optimize your operations. Number 1 is how to leverage photos. So in the FieldWorks app, we call that a field note. A photo is a way to capture a lot of information visually. More importantly, is there's a way to actually use keywords and hashtags to find them later for you. Then he's going to show you what our daily report looks like. And I like to really talk about how to datatize a daily report, not writing it down on a form, not even putting in an Excel spreadsheet, but actually creating data all day long. We have a phrase here at eSUB where we talk about eSUBing the job. And that means when your crew leaders, your foremen, your superintendents hit the job every day, as soon as they get out of the truck, when they start seeing changes happen, different things, they should be taking photos. They should be making notes. They should be adding things into that daily report all day long, not waiting until the end of the day at 3:30, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock of, hey, what did we work on today? But actually, every time something is occurring, specifically in any kind of change out of scope, out of contract, out of plans, they should be documenting that. And then the optimization of your time cards, that's kind of what I was alluding to before. It's not just writing down that somebody worked 8 hours. It's associating each hour to that phase code of production and knowing where you're at in the day. Now, the last couple of things he'll talk to you about lightly is centralizing all of your documents. You work for multiple different general contractors or construction managers, maybe some owners. Where is all the data for that project that you're working on now? And ideally, what if you're lucky enough to move it into a service phase? How can you find that data every time you need it? And the last part is what the system, the way we like to describe it is, how do you build your data gold mine? And I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit later. So just to kind of reiterate what we're going to go through, Ryan's going to show you 3 kind of priorities of our system is the document control. We're going to talk about the ease of use for the field, where we have a very easy to understand, we call the user interface. That's the buttons on the screen that they push. And then kind of highlighting a little bit of that labor productivity and kind of putting it out there. So at our core, this is what the eSUB cloud does for you on the business side of the equation. At the top, we've talked about, holding all those documents in one central place. We give you some improved financial visibility at the way that we can pull over financial data from your accounting platform and work with it interactively. Then there's the labor productivity insights that come from that mobile app. We have that collaboration that's really centralized between office to field, field to office, where both sides can talk to each other in the same platform, but also keep in mind that when team members change out, somebody else can pick up the ball and run with it fairly quickly. Then the last 2 things we'll talk about is standardizing your processes. And at the end is really the higher utilization of software to kind of optimize your processes. So without further ado, Ryan, I'm going to release the screen over to you. And if you will, can you take us for a short tour? And let's take a look at what that mobile app does. And then let's show them what the web-based platform can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it, Rob. All right. Rob, are you able to see my screen?
I can. Take us away.
All right, awesome. So guys, over here on the left side of my screen, this is going to be our desktop site. And so this is where back in the office, we're mostly going to be working out of, and where we're going to get that full visibility into all aspects of a project from start to finish. But over here on the right side, this is actually my phone in real time here. And we know at the end of the day, what's really going to make or break our company starts out in the field. And essentially what Rob said, eSubbing the job, basically just day in the life of a foreman or a lead once you were to roll out eSUB. First thing to notice when I log on either site, at a high level, we're going to have permission levels as far as which projects I have set permission to view. We can get more granular in the back end as far as what specific data our guys are able to access this. But for today's example on this right side here, I'm going to go ahead and start using this Jefferson High School project. Up top, we have just a high level project information. We got project name, number, start and end dates, and project address. And the first section to focus on here are going to be those field notes. And so again, a field note is essentially just going to be a photograph out in the field that's going to prompt some sort of action or an insight on the job in real time back to the office. So I can either come to my camera roll in real time here and take a picture, or if I took some pictures from earlier in the day, I can come in here, select my photo. I can make some slight markups as need be. And now if I try to save this, eSUB is actually going to stop me and just require I put some information into this note field here, because we know that this picture is only going to be worth as much as the information coming in with it. And I'm going to use our talk to text, again, coming back to this idea of making the system nice and easy to use, because at the end of the day, we know that if we make this platform too difficult, our guys are going to go back to their old ways, and it's going to defeat the purpose of an investment like this. So I can come here and go ahead and say possible spacing issue, hashtag RFI. And now what's neat about that is anything that I just put into this note section here is going to be completely searchable, sortable, and reportable back in the office. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now if you'll look over here on the left side of the screen, on our desktop side of things, I can come to our corporate field notes. And what a corporate field notes is going to allow us to do here is basically see all of the pictures coming in in real time across all of our different projects. I can sort by type of project or by specific project. Or for instance, I can come in here and maybe search for that term hashtag RFI. And what it's going to do is it's going to search across all of those projects in real time, and it's going to be able to pull any RFIs. Maybe at the end of the day, I want to see what RFIs I have to generate. And here's that RFI that I just pulled in from the field. Coming back to the right side here on the mobile side of things, next thing we're going to have is our daily report. And with that background in claims consulting, we know that this daily report is really going to be our #1 profit protection tool, because it's going to give our guys access to a daily log of our day-to-day. And just like those pictures I just took, anything I put in here is going to be searchable, sortable, and reportable back in the office. So I'll go ahead and start a new daily report here. And within this daily report, we have a few different sections. The first of which is going to be our comment section. And so this comment section, you can kind of just think of this as 8 configurable buckets of information that we're going to want our guys in the field to fill out. So when I say configurable, maybe schedule coordination issues isn't really the workflow that we're looking to achieve here, and maybe potential delays makes more sense for us. We can change that in our label manager in the back end of things, and it will be standardized across our entire company. Something else that's neat here, if I have to potentially send this daily report out to a GC, a builder, whoever it might be, on the bottom left here, if I toggle this internal button, internally, if I'm looking at this daily report, I'm going to see all the information in here. But once I were to print or email out of the system, it's not going to show up on that daily report. The next section on this daily report is going to be our crew section. And so this crew section is really going to be the most powerful section in this daily report, because it's going to give us the information and data needed for those multiple reports we're going to get back in the office in real time. And I'll touch on that as I go through this crew section here. So I can break this up. We have system phase. This is just a way internally that we can break up this project to get a little bit more granular. So we use the example building 1, level 1, building 1, level 2, and so on. We can, again, configure these to match whatever we're looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and say building 1, level 1, Today, the guys were doing some site work. Who's doing site work? We have Chris, Frank, and Daniel. And then from here, this is where we're going to get that foreman time entry that Rob mentioned. So again, this is only one of the ways that we can collect time from our guys in the field. And I can do time, time and a half. We can also turn on double time. And what's nice about this time section here is it's going to generate two things for us at the same time. The first of which, if you look on the left side back in the office, is going to be that labor productivity report that Rob touched on. So what we're doing here is we're breaking up our different cost codes, and we're going to have our original budgeted hours. Any approved change orders will give us our total budgeted hours. And now this is going to allow us to compare our percent used of our budgeted hours versus a percent complete on this cost code. This way I can come in here and I can see at demo, I'm operating at a level of 45.9% efficiency because I've used 43% of my budgeted hours, but I'm only 20% done. So this is really going to be that early warning system that lets us know I need to put more focus into demo before we really start running delayed on this project. Now this time piece is also going to give us those time cards that Rob mentioned. So it's nice and simple here. I can come in here, I can click into Chris and see what project he was working on, what system and phase, what cost code. And then once everything looks good, I can go ahead and approve that time. Internally, you'll decide who has your approval pin, which then we'll be able to push into payroll and accounting. Coming back to the right side here, we also have units. This is really just going to be any sort of units that you're installing, whether it's linear footage of something that you're installing, whatever it might be. And the reason we'd want to fill out this section is because it's also going to give us another report here with our labor productivity report on the left, which is again going to allow us to break up our cost codes. And essentially, we're going to be able to track how many units we originally budgeted that we wanted to install per hour or hours per unit versus our actuals. Again, just a way to make sure that we're staying efficient on this job. And lastly, on the right side, we have our hours lost. Important to note, this won't affect your time cards for your guys out in the field, but rather it's going to be either a useful internal tool, whether to keep track of maybe why a certain cost code, a certain crew is constantly running delayed on the job, or we can also like to think of this as sort of a external document if need be. So with that background in claims consulting, we like to think of this as a fully baked construction claim. It's just to protect our profits because, as I'm sure you guys know, when it comes to any claims down the road, the person with most paperwork typically wins. So we like to just think of this as an insurance policy. It's obviously not meant to be confrontational, but in the case of maybe a GC coming back and trying to charge us for any liquidated damages, or is maybe giving us a pushback on a change order, we can pull this report and export it out just as a way that we can back ourselves up and we have this in our back pocket. All right, so back here on the right side, just finishing up this daily report. Last few sections we have subcontractors. We can just keep track of which subcontractors are working under us, how many workers, and get out any notes. We also have equipment and materials, where, for instance, we can import a list of materials that we're using on the job. I'm just going to go ahead and select one of these materials here. I can track the quantity, unit of measurement, and then this is just going to give us a way on that daily report to report back as far as what materials we use on the job. And it's going to be the same sort of functionality here with our equipment, where we can simply just track what equipment we're using. Say we have a couple of generators out on the sites and we want to track how many hours. We can do that as well as add any notes. Last but not least, we would attach those field notes that we took earlier in the day, which on the left side here is going to give us a completed daily report. This big eSUB logo, that's just going to be a placeholder. It'll be your logo. And we're going to have our project information under it, which is also going to automatically pull a weather forecast based off our project address for that day. And then here's that comment section, which again, we're going to be able to configure whichever way we want to match. The crew that was working that day, their cost code, any lost hours or comments. And then we're also going to have the subcontractors that worked under us, the equipment we use, and the materials we use. With last but not least, any pictures from the field with any relevant information with it as well. All right, so let's just finish up on the right side here, the remaining portions within the mobile side of things. So we're also going to have project contacts. This is just a way that we can give our guys in the field access to important contacts for the specific project. This way that if they need to reach out to somebody, they can simply pull it up here. They can email, call, or text directly from here, just as a way that they're not losing it within their own personal contacts. We can also give our guys access to an Rfi log if they want to keep track of any updates, or maybe if they haven't gotten a response yet, something that they can follow up on. And then last but not least, we have unlimited project file storage. So that's going to either be on a company-wide level, or what you're seeing here is on the individual project level. And we're going to be able to edit all these folders and make them whatever we're looking to achieve here. But for instance, if I just want to upload a snapshot of one of our plans, our guys in the field can access it right from their phones and tablets. All right. So that's going to cover from a high level the mobile side of things. Now let's go ahead and hop into the office. So again, I log in the office. I'm going to see the projects I have set permission to view. And I'm going to keep working out of this Jefferson High School project. Up top, project name and number. We're going to have a full weather forecast, again, based off this project address. High level overview of our budgeted hours and financials. As well as underneath that are going to be those pictures, again, coming in real time. And if we scroll to the bottom here, we're going to see what we call our big six. And this is where we're going to be able to get a general health of our project. And essentially, this is, again, going to give us our early warning signs and allow us to capture this data so that we can keep track of it. We can also change these charts around to match whichever way we want to digest this information. Personally, I like it numerically so that we can keep track of, I see I have $20,000 past due, and I know that I need to put focus into these change orders and get that done before we start really running delayed here. All right. And then now, last but not least, I wanted to go ahead and hop into an RFI. And essentially, when I click into any of our documents, whether it's an RFI, change order, submittal, they're all going to look identical, and the steps of actually creating them, sending them out of the system, and tracking them within eSUB, it's going to be nice and standardized across our entire company. Again, coming back to this whole idea of making it nice and easy to use. So within here, I have our RFI log, and I can see all of our RFIs, the pending the statuses, when we originally sent it out, and when we wanted to return by. And then when it comes to actually creating this RFI, it's going to be nice and simple. We're going to have our cover page here. It's going to be as simple as just filling out our relevant fields. So we would put the RFI date, subject, select who we're sending it to, who we want to return to. And then with an RFI, is there going to be impact to our costs? Is there going to be impact to our progress? We can change these around here as well. When we need it returned by. And then obviously with an RFI, whatever clarification we're requesting, we can even recommend a solution as well. So step one is as simple as just filling out our fields. Step two is going to be essentially using eSUB as a giant PDF stapler. And within here, what we're going to be able to do is, for instance, I can go to our eSUB files, and the first thing we're going to see is that picture that I uploaded from the field. So here's that one that I did with the hashtag RFI. I can go ahead and attach it to this RFI, and eSUB is essentially just going to staple it to this specific RFI. I can also upload any other of our internal files, or if need be, I can go ahead and search for or upload any outside file. And again, eSUB is just going to staple it to the specific RFI. Bringing us to our last step of actually sending it out of the system. And this isn't going to be a second place you have to worry about checking your emails, but rather, we're just going to go ahead and select who we're sending it to. We can change the subject, make sure our field notes are attached, and it's going to look like it's coming from your email. It'll still be, any responses will still show up in your email, but if I'm already in the eSUB system and I'm looking at RFI number 23, I don't have to worry about digging through my emails. Any correspondence will be tracked right within here. And then I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be our completed RFI. Again, this will be your logo up top. We have all of our information, any clarification we've requested. If they do answer, we'll be able to view that as well. and then any attachments that we put on this RFI. All right, Rob. Well, that is going to cover, just a high-level overview of the eSUB platform. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to you, and then hopefully we have a few questions.
Ryan, I appreciate that. So real quick, let's just talk. Does anybody have a question? Something Ryan showed that you might want to learn a little bit more about, something not quite clear? You can put something in the chat. You can post a question now. Let me get my screen back up. Make sure I can see everything here. Does anybody have a question out there? Not seeing one come up. Now, if you have one and you want to ask it in a minute, wait a minute, let me get the chat back. All right. Looks like somebody started a question there in the chat. Always get the pricing question. Pricing, Ryan, I'll see if I can handle this one the easiest. We do a per seat license for that annual subscription to eSUB software. So that is the web-based platform and the FieldWorks mobile app. But the eSUB time and that kiosk mode, Ryan, can you kind of handle that on a ballpark level?
Yeah, so eSUB Core is going to be the bulk of the pricing we have here. We have the add-on modules, which are going to be submittals, change orders, purchase orders, pay applications, and resource management. And then we do have that eSUB time or eSUB kiosk. And that eSUB time and eSUB kiosk comes out to $60 per user. And we can definitely dive more into deeper pricing on a personal one-on-one call as well.
Good deal. Then the next question, can you explain how the subcontractor panel works?
Within the...
I think they're talking probably on the mobile app, the subcontractor function of how, because sometimes let's think maybe it's a mechanical, electrical, or plumber, subcontractors employ other subcontractors. So in that mobile sense, how does that work?
Yeah. So it's as simple as, it's sort of very high level where you're just going to select which subcontractor is working under you, the amount of workers, and then you're just going to add any notes. It's more so of a way just to include in the daily report to keep the office up to date.
Very good. Very good. Any other questions out there from anybody we can handle in Q&A or chat, specifically about the platform, the mobile app, any other options?
I did see a question from Dynamic Mechanical. That is yearly pricing. It's not monthly.
Sorry. Looked over that.
All good. All good.
All right. Any other questions we can talk about real quick? All right. Well, people are thinking a little bit. I'll show a little bit more information. So at a high level, this is what I have drawn out as kind of where eSUB fits in the quote technology stack. Over on the left side, you can see we've got a little bit of the design area. So if we're talking about Autodesk Revit or Evolve MEP, Stratus, BIM 360 Docs, there's the document side of construction. And then all the way over there on the right, that's our accounting side. So Sage, QuickBooks, Viewpoint, Key to Act. I like to describe us as the magic in the middle. So we do at eSUB interact with your financial data over here, pulling in those budgets that you can interact with, but also the docs side for your 2D plans. And even it gets really interesting with BIM 360 Docs, what that will do. And then a couple just examples out there. We have worked with different types of companies across the country. This is Triple Air Systems. They are roughly a $14 million contractor. And we helped them with a couple of these things over here. Very interesting how we can do different workflows for different contractors. Then, let me see. We got another question down there. Ryan, can you address how do the modules work as far as our add-ons?
Yeah, so the modules for the add-ons end up being $75 per user per module. And that is annual as well.
All right. Appreciate that. All right. Well, thank you so much for people that are joining us today for this kind of short little overview. We've done a little bit of Q&A. And the idea is if you're interested to learn more, we'd like to continue that conversation forward with you. So this is kind of the big menu. Now, this may look overwhelming, but there's a lot here. So at the top, this is what Ryan was describing as that eSUB core. So he was showing you that FieldWorks mobile app, but then also all the things included in the web for the web version. Now, down at the bottom, we got some different add-ons we can talk about, or that eSUB time. But like Ryan mentioned, if you're curious to learn more about that, like to have that kind of more of in a private conversation. And let's see, another question came in. How many modules do you have? How much is the core? Ryan, can you kind of explain the way that the modules add on to the core?
Yeah, sure. Essentially, the modules are going to be the 5 of submittals, change orders, purchase orders, payment applications, and resource management, which is essentially manpower scheduling. And then the eSUB core really is going to vary depending on users. We have different pricing tiers. So 5 to 9 users, 10 to 14, 15 to 24, and so on. And again, that's something we can definitely dive a little deeper into in a one-on-one call.
Good deal. So a couple things we'll just leave you with. Why do customers choose eSUB? There's 3 things we like to break it down to. First is our focus. We are specifically focused on specialty trade contractors. That's who we build our software for. That's who we work for. That's who we're here to serve. Our team, we have assembled a team that's really focused on delivering the highest value, the highest quality product that we can. And we hope that translates over to people when you see what our system does in action for yourself. The other thing we get constantly is, what is the ROI? If we spend this money, what's the return on investment? And I'll be very honest, that question, that answer depends on every single company, because it depends what type of work do you do? How big is your team? What kind of work? If you want to calculate a number for yourself, if you actually go onto our website at esub.com, there is a drop down for an ROI calculator. You'll put in your company's parameters, your particular, how many team members you have, a couple different pieces of information, and it'll give you a pretty close number, we think. There's some numbers that you can see up here on the screen from customers that we're currently working with. But if you want to see what that number looks like, please use that ROI calculator, and we can have that conversation a little bit deeper later on. Last thing just to share with you, if we're lucky enough to work with you in the future, like we do with our current customers, the journey, the path to success for us is kind of starts over here on the left side, and you talk with somebody like Ryan on our account executive team. If we're lucky enough to work with you and win your business, then you would be moved into what we call that customer success, that client success manager. That's where someone works with you and kind of shows you around. Depending on the size of the account, depending on the things that you need, we also have strategic consultants. We have some expert advisors on board, subject matter experts that know a lot of different things. They can kind of show you around. Then the other thing is over here, this is our resources. So we have lots of webinars, on-demand training, monthly user product training, knowledge-based guides, resources. That's all on what we call the eSUB Academy. A lot of different things out there. Then the last thing to share with you after the Academy is we have a podcast. Every week, I am the host of a little 20-minute conversation where we interview customers, employees, other industry thought leaders, and we talk about how technology can really help empower the trades. So with that, we're at the end of our time today. I'll leave you with this. If you're curious about what eSUB can do for your team, we love to continue that conversation. If you want to reach out to us at esub.com, you can schedule that kind of private talk where you would meet with somebody like Ryan and kind of dive a little deeper into what our software can do for you. And before we go, I'll put it out there one last time. Does anybody have another question that we can handle or address for you now? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I hope we answer the questions that we can help you out. If you'd like to continue that conversation forward, please reach out to us. And Ryan, thank you so much for your time and guidance today, sir. Stay healthy and well. All right.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Everybody, we'll call that a wrap for the day, and we hope to talk to you sometime soon. Thank you so much.